What's up, everybody? This is Blackbeard. Who's ready to piss some people off today? I think I'm ready to piss some people off today, because I got a real touchy subject for a video I'm making right now. As you can see from the screen, we are going to be talking about the Judge Kavanaugh hearings. Those of you who are familiar with me, all like 6 or 7 of you that have watched some videos that I've made, I love court cases. I love the legal system in general, especially the criminal justice system. I find it fascinating. I find it horrible, but I also find it very fascinating. And I've made a couple of videos in the past about some court cases that I found interesting personally. And I thought I would bring that into the present day issues that we're having with the hearings from Judge Kavanaugh and Dr. Ford. A little background on me to start. No, I am not a lawyer. I always wanted to be, and that was always my plan in life. I did go to undergrad. I got my undergrad degree in something other than law. Decided I was going to work for a year or two before going to law school. I actually found that I loved doing my current job out of college and ended up continuing to do that. So it's been about 7 years and I still have not gone to law school. I have still not ruled it out. I am only 33. I don't think I'm too old to go. It's still my passion in life. And I think that the justice system in this country needs a whole lot of work. And if that wasn't clear during the last few days from the Kavanaugh hearings, it is now. And the reason is that whole idea of innocent until proven guilty is just, it's just dead in this country. It really is. And I think that this was proven in the last few days. Not to say that I necessarily don't believe Dr. Ford. I thought she gave very compelling testimony, and I think it should be investigated. I definitely think that the FBI investigation should not be restrained. I think that it should be able to take a couple of weeks if necessary. Anyways, I don't want to get too much into the details of my own personal opinions on this case. I have been on social media for the last few days, and good Lord, I'm so sick of hearing people's opinions on this. Here's the truth. I don't know the truth. You don't know the truth. Stop pretending like you know the truth. You don't know that she's telling the truth, and you don't know that she's lying. But what I wanted to do in this video is I wanted to bring a little logic to it, because this is such a politically divisive subject. I want to start to look at this from a logical perspective. Somebody here is lying. About the incident in particular, I guess I should say. He either did pin her to the bed and tried to remove her clothes without her consent and cover her mouth so she couldn't scream, or he didn't. I understand the truth usually lies in between two stories, especially with two people who have completely different stories than this. But to me, it either happened or it didn't. I don't know whether it happened or it didn't. I really hope they don't just let this go. I hope they don't just confirm this guy next week. I want them to investigate this, because in my opinion, somebody needs to go down for this. Either he needs to be charged with a crime or she does, because if she is lying, she has dragged this guy's name through the mud. She has lied in front of Congress, and she deserves to go to jail for that. If he is lying, he lied in front of Congress under oath. Both of them were under oath. One of them lied through their teeth over the issue here, and somebody deserves to be punished for this. And also, if he did it, he should face criminal charges, even if he didn't rape her. I don't care. Attempted rape is still rape. Attempted sexual assault is still a felony. I believe this occurred in North Carolina. Or DC or somewhere in that area. I'm sorry if I don't know that, but regardless, it is what she is accusing him of is still a felony. There is no statute of limitations on felonies in any of those states. He should be charged. Regardless, I'm not going to get into my opinion. Honestly, like I said before, I don't know, and neither do you. So everybody out there who's listening, please stop pretending that you know the truth in this, because you don't. Because the evidence that has been brought forth is not all of the evidence. They have not interviewed everybody. You don't know if people are lying or telling the truth yet, because nothing has been able to get corroborated yet. Give it some time. Unfortunately, this is a political issue, so people on the right are convinced she's lying, and people on the left are convinced she's telling the truth. What a sad state of affairs in this country that, my goodness, we can't take an issue like sexual assault and not politicize the hell out of it. So shame on all of us for that. We should all be really, really embarrassed for that. Well, what I wanted to do here is, what I did was I did a little research today, and I was looking into what are some of the supposed lies that each one of them told. I did a quick look through social media. I went through, did some Google searches, and I came up with a few things that people are convinced that each one of them are lying about. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to do a little research on those. I wanted to see, were they a lie? Was I able to determine if they were a lie? Or were we able to determine that no, that's not necessarily a lie. They just think it might be, but there's no way to corroborate it. And I have a list for both people. I'm trying to stay as impartial as I can in this. Again, I know this is a political issue, and people are incapable in this country of being impartial on a political issue. Party over country is just really, it's a really, really sad state of affairs, and we are all guilty of it. So before you start pointing at the other side, you do it too. But anyways, I wanted to go ahead and I wanted to get started with Dr. Ford. Now here are a few of the lies supposedly that Dr. Ford told during her testimony. Not necessarily lies. This is the stuff that people think that she is lying about, either in her testimony or in general. I'm going to go through these one by one, and on the next slide here, I'm going to show you possible explanations for these if I have them. I don't necessarily have a good explanation for these, but here we go. She waited 30 plus years. I've heard this over and over again. I've heard it from both politicians, and I've heard it from a lot of idiots on social media. Why did she wait 30 years? Why did she wait so long? Why didn't she go to the police? Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a good excuse for calling somebody a liar in a sexual assault case. Let me see if I can... Okay, so here's the explanation I had for that one. The 2/3 of sexual assaults are never reported. They're never reported at all. Women don't want to come forward, and hell, you can't blame her for not wanting to come forward. She knew what would happen if she came forward in this. She would be trashed by politicians and by the general public who support Judge Kavanaugh, and she was. I don't feel that's a really good excuse for calling somebody a liar, that she waited 30 years. I mean, women don't want to come forward on this subject at all, and I personally don't blame them. I don't understand the female psychology of this, and I never will. From what I've read, it is very common for women to not come forward. It's common for them to wait long periods of time before coming forward. And that kind of leads me into the second part of this. You know, there's certain things that she didn't remember in her testimony. She didn't remember the exact day this occurred. She didn't remember how she got home, who took her home. All that she said is she remembered that she didn't drive herself home, but she doesn't remember how she got home. Again, you start to look at the fight or flight instinct here, and when something like this is happening, your brain would almost shut down. And it is very common for sexual assault victims to forget details that aren't specific to the assault, because your mind goes into shutdown mode to protect itself. She remembered the actual assault very well. She didn't remember the layout of the house. She didn't remember how she got home. To me, those are not valid reasons for calling somebody a liar, because I mean, it's again, the fight or flight instinct will cause you to struggle to remember some outside details of a stressful situation. Third one, and this is actually something I did not read about until today. I thought this was really interesting. It's the third bullet, or the fourth bullet point, where she in her testimony, she said that her husband found out about the sexual assault during a couples counseling session, and it somehow came out of an argument that they had about whether to put a second front door on their house, and she was able to point out that this occurred in 2012. It seems like such a weird thing to lie about, but there are pictures of Dr. Ford and her husband's house that show that said second front door was there at least a year before this session apparently happened. They have pictures of her house from, let's say, 2011 that show that there was a second door already on their house. So why would they be arguing over whether they should put a second door on their house if it was already there? Unless she got the year wrong, which I find that highly unlikely. So if you see my explanation for that one, that sounds like a lie. Why would somebody lie about that? She was under oath, and she lied about the year that her husband found out about her sexual assault, and they were able to point that out. Why would you lie about that? Now, would I go as far as to say, this is perjury, this is lying under oath? Well, sure, it is. It sounds like a stupid mistake, but again, in a testimony that you had been preparing to give under oath, why would you make such a... To me, this isn't a mistake. She lied about this. I don't know why, but this was a flat-out lie, and I'm just baffled by this. I cannot explain why this is. The last excuse, people assume that she's lying because Kavanaugh was never accused. I know there are multiple accusers. I'm talking about prior to recently. He has worked with women throughout his entire career. There's never been any other instances of being accused of any kind of misconduct sexually at all. And though I don't think this is a hard fact to say that this proves that he didn't do this, I don't know. I have heard a lot of people say, and that I somewhat agree with, that people say if he was assaulting women in high school, he wouldn't just all of a sudden stop. I think that's a very good point. Again, and if you look here at my explanation, I don't have a good explanation for that one either. So I mean, there are the point of this part. There were some holes in Dr. Ford's testimony. Again, I've heard all of these. Again, I didn't hear about the house one until recently. I thought that was the most interesting one. These one, the first three that we went over. I mean, it's... Again, I don't think that those are good excuses, and I think that it was kind of sad that a lot of people brought up the why did you wait so long? Why didn't you remember all the details? As trying to poke holes in her story. I thought that was really unfair, personally. But those bottom 2 points, I mean, it's especially the one about the house and the second door. She got caught in a lie there, and I really hope that they look into that and figure out why the hell would you lie about something like that. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the judge, okay? And here are some of the points that people have made that point out that how he was lying. A lot of emphasis has been put on his opening statement. He came out there screaming and yelling, talking about how it was a conspiracy against him and how they're trying to destroy his life, and people were so caught off guard by this. Like, this guy is a judge. He should act a certain way. He was way too aggressive. He was way too angry. That's a bunch of crap right there. I don't care if you're a judge or not. If he didn't do this and all of this stuff is starting to come up that he was sexually assaulting these women and he didn't, I don't care if you are a saint. You are gonna be extremely angry. Somebody is purposefully trying to destroy your life through lies and possibly send you to jail. Again, he might have done it. I don't know. But if he didn't, I thought that his opening statement, his reaction to this was right where it should be. I could have done without the saying it was payback for the Clintons, and I thought that was a bunch of bullshit. And to be honest, I was really that was the worst part of it for me, because this guy more than likely will be confirmed and will be a Supreme Court judge. And now, I mean, he just kind of showed his hand there, saying that he's not going to be able to be impartial. But anyways, I'm getting off topic there. I didn't like that, but his anger, his frustration, his up and down emotional response what seemed right on the money for me. And and it seemed perfectly fine, and I don't blame him for reacting that way at all. This next part is when they started going over his yearbook and his calendars. And they started pointing out some of the terminology that he used that he was trying to back up. Um, I got to admit I kind of laughed out loud a couple of times during that segment, especially since there were a couple of terms I had never heard before. Boofing being one. I had never heard boofing before. The apparently the lie is that Judge Kavanaugh referred to that as flatulence. I've never heard of that as flatulence. I've never heard this term used ever before, but I did do a quick Google search and found that people are saying that no, it is a term for ingesting. I still have injecting. That's not injecting. It's ingesting alcohol anally, or a term used for anal sex. If you boof somebody, it means you bang them in the ass. Response to that was, yeah, I've never heard of boofing. It could be a slang for farting. I don't know. I don't have an opinion on that. Regardless, yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to say about that. That was the part where I really laughed when he said, he said, what is boofing? He said it's a term for flatulence. I laughed my ass off. I was in the car listening to it on NPR and thought I was hilarious. A couple of the other terms that he tried to back up, it was just, like I said, I'm only 33. I remember what it's like to be a 16-year-old child or a teenager, and we use these terms, and these were very common terms. The Devil's Triangle is a threesome with two guys. It is not a drinking game. That is just total bullshit. I've never heard, and I went to a notorious party school for college and never heard of a Devil's Triangle drinking game. A Devil's Triangle is a threesome with two dudes and one girl. That is what it is. To me, that was just a flat out lie. I don't know why he would lie about it. So what? If he knew what it was, or maybe he claimed to have had one. A threesome is perfectly fine if all members are consenting. So I don't understand the purpose of that lie. I do believe that he lied about that to try and kind of save a little face. But yeah, we all know what a Devil's Triangle is. The other one was he talked about his buddy and how whenever he said the F word, he said it like fuck, which because he had on his calendar 4 F's leading into 4th of July. So it was kind of an inside joke between him and his buddies. Again, the 4 F's, it's a pretty common term used by men in general, especially young, immature men. Find them, finger them, fuck them, and forget them. Okay, this is something that boys say. This is a pretty well-known term. I don't believe for a second his explanation for that. This guy, he partied. Let's call a spade a spade. And I don't give a fuck if the judge partied. First of all, I don't give a fuck if he had threesomes. I don't care if him and his boys went out to troll for some tail and trying to find some bitches. Okay, that's something that boys do. He was young. He was single. I don't care about any of this. If he did all of this shit, I don't really care. But I do personally believe that he lied about, especially those last two, those terms. The Devil's Triangle is a threesome. The 4 F's, you could see what it says. That's what it is. I don't believe for a second that they just somehow had two very common derogatory terms for young guys use, and somehow he managed to be in the only group of young men that had different meetings for those exact terms. It's bullshit. So I hope that I want to hear other people's opinions on this. This is why I'm posting this. I'm gonna ask ahead of time, and I know that you're not, and people are gonna react to this the way they have reacted on social media. All I'm asking for people to do here is to try to look at this logically. Everybody seems to be picking a side on this. And I guarantee you, if you ask yourself what side you pick, it lines up directly with your political affiliation. And I guarantee you that whatever side you were on before the hearings, you were on after the hearings. And all I'm asking you to do is whatever side that you may be on. I hope that I've proven to you that I am not on a side. I have pointed out where I think that both of them lied on the stand. I do not believe we have anywhere near enough evidence to convict this man. However, I don't think we have enough evidence to stop an investigation from occurring. I think the FBI investigation is a great idea. I don't like the limitations that are being put on it. I hope that the truth is found one way or another. So all I'm asking you to do is whatever side that you are on, look at the other side and try to be open-minded. Try to look at this logically. Again, I don't feel like people will. It's this really unfortunate thing in this country that people just take political sides. They're not willing to think outside of the box here. But this whole situation, we're talking about a potential Supreme Court justice being accused of sexual assault. If there's ever a time where we need to rise above as Americans, put our political bullshit aside, and just try to look at something logically, come up with the truth, and roll with that. Be open-minded. This is it. Please prove me wrong and show that we are able to look at a situation logically. It's not all us versus them. It's not all we fucking hate Trump and want everything he does to fail so he'll lose in 2020. And it's not all we just want to stick it to the libs. It's all bullshit, guys. Please look at this one logically. Let's find the truth in this. Let's wait for the truth in this before you destroy somebody's life. That's all I'm asking. Anyways, I hope that people will watch this. I hope that people will enjoy this. Not necessarily enjoy it, but at least get some information from it. This is based on my own research. I am not perfect. I make mistakes. Please point out where I am wrong. Please don't point out something that I listed and say it's wrong because it's against your fucking opinion. I want to hear opinions, but if I said something that is contrary to your opinion and you want to get pissed off, I mean, go for it. But I mean, I don't give a fuck. Anyways, this has been Blackbeard. I appreciate it. I know I'm hitting a real touchy subject here, but again, I'm just trying to get to the truth. Let me know what you think. Please comment, and be good people, please.